happens there matters, because it relates to what is going on in our world, everywhere around us. It matters because it relates to what is going on right here in Florida, which we will talk about later as well. We don't know how much everybody knows about what is going on. We have
So let me ask you one more question on the axis that you talked about. You talked that it was the center of something that was going on there.
Yeah, as many of us felt, it's the axis mundi. It was the center of the universe, and that it's also called the navel of the world. That it's a lot of religious traditions have that, and it feels like, that is what's going on. That is the center, and it's energizing what's going on around the country and around the globe. It's where everything is coming from, and it isn't literally, of course, the center of the world, but it is right now. It's the spiritual center of the world, and it's changing lives, and it's turning people around. And some of the prayers around the sacred fire at sunrise and the water ceremony were prayers. People were coming there, and their addictions are being cured. It's changing their lives because it's giving them a sense of meaning and purpose again. And it's just changing everything in people's lives. And that's it's a spiritual power that can't be described. I wish I had better words for it, but I can't.
All right.
The comment I wanted to make is something I was struck by when we visited Standing Rock, and it was similar to something I was struck by when we visited Occupy Wall Street a number of years ago, and that is the ability of people to come together and form a community and look out for each other with very little or no support from the outside. And the communities that we've seen built in that way are beautiful,
All right.
humane,
Okay.
loving, positive. And if there is a larger point to what I say is, we don't really need the corporations. We're sold a bill of goods by the corporations that we need them, that we're dependent. We're not. We do better left alone.
Okay. So you said there's a similar struggle in Florida because of two pipelines. What makes these pipelines dangerous for us?
Well, it's not if they break, it's when they break.
And when they break, what happens?
Well, Florida, being a naturalist, I can speak on that part. Florida is basically sitting on top of underground rivers. We don't even know all of where they go, but we do know it's the full extent of Florida. And so limestone, the acids from the rains actually eat away the limestones. What do you think is going to happen if you put chemicals in the water? We've already watched our beautiful springs turn green. So if you go to any spring now, that beautiful crystal blue water has a green haze to it.
Right.
Well, without their water, our fishing goes down. I mean, everything that people come to Florida to do will be gone.
Right. And people are starting to protest these corporation things. So here's
the other part of it is that you'll have eminent domain again. So you have a corporation able to buy out somebody's land without their knowledge or permission, and they just get to build right through it. Well, there's smaller springs, there are rivers, there are all kinds of things that they are crossing these pipelines through. They have to cross through because Florida is the land of rivers. They're everywhere.
This 150-foot wide swath is 2 miles long, and it goes straight through the sacred burial grounds of the Lakota. This happened on September 3rd. Also, I'm sure you've seen the dogs. This was the day I decided I was going to the Dakotas. When we arrived, I don't know if you can see it, but I was very moved because when we arrived at the reservation, we saw a rainbow in the sky. And if you've ever heard, there is a legend that the warriors of the rainbow will come to save the people and to save the earth. So this moved me deeply. Okay, and I looked out and I saw that. It was 42 degrees that morning. And you see the bicycle there? And he introduced himself. His name was Kyle. And Kyle rode that bicycle with the tent and the sleeping bag on his back from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I don't know, you know your geography, that's over 450 miles. That's how important this is to that young man there. So you have all kinds of people coming together. I met people from Norway who came from Norway to support Standing Rock. They didn't come to see Mount Rushmore or anything like that. They came from, and there were people from other nations who also came to show their support.
So what did you feel you left with when you left there? Was it sad leaving that place after having so much solidarity and sharing such wonderful moments with these people?
It was very sad. As Tom said, there's almost a feeling of having an umbilical cord attached to these people.
Yeah.
Gosh. It's almost overwhelming at times. I get up and I watch videos and I get the horrors when I see what's going on there.
Well, I guess watching what happened yesterday with all these rubber bullets and tear gas and water hoses at those temperatures, and also being a death among them, a very respected elder, it feels like you left them. I did work in Bosnia with children to try to save what was left of their souls after the war. I returned when Milosevic went into Kosovo, and then it was children and women crossing the border to try to save them too. So I know what it is when you leave. You leave them in such a difficult situation, and you're going home to that warm shower and that good cup of coffee. You know.
I have a new respect for the spirituality. I really do. But one of the things I think that's most important is what we're doing right now, and that's testifying and bearing witness to what we saw. Because a lot of times, when you hear something and you get little bits and pieces on the news and it's propagandized and it's twisted and shaped in ways like, there's stuff coming out from Morton County Sheriff's Department now that, they did this and they attacked this and they set on fire and they're reframing the story.
Right.
And it's only when there's people like us who actually go there and see what happens that we can go, that didn't happen. And people that came here tonight, I thank them for making the effort to come out here, and I hope that they tell 10 friends, and they tell 10 friends, and they tell 10 friends, until thousands of people know, and thousands of people stand up and say, enough! And they call President Obama, and President Obama federalizes our National Guard, and they go in and they protect the protectors like they're supposed to, not the corporations.
Right. So here's a question to you there in the corner. So the media lots of media tends to see these people like agitators, like they're the bad guys, the protectors. What do you tell people when they ask you what's really going on there?
We tell people about how peaceful, how prayerful, how spiritual the people that are there are. There were signs such as the one Tom showed a picture of in his part of the presentation, one of which I thought was very insightful. It says, violence and destructive behavior do not further our cause. And I think there is a great distortion of what's going on there to turn the protectors into the bad guys. And the bad guys, they're faced with tanks. They're faced with assault rifles. They're faced with weaponry on a massive scale, and they are unarmed. They are doing nothing but praying and standing there.
So here I come back to you. The clergy was there. You said expected 100, 500 came.
Yes.
Of all sorts of denominations. What was that like? What did that feel like?
I was such an honor to be a part of it that, they were hoping for 100 and over 500 showed up. And it was overwhelming, for those that were there, but it was a welcome. The people at the camps were welcome because it was a day of peace for them because, the sheriff and they weren't going to do anything while all that clergy was there. So it was a nice day. They had a rough day the day before, with a lot of arrests and some violence the day before. So it was a good day of rest. But I think from the people I talked to, it's just for them to be able to see that many clergy from all over the country and from all these different denominations to come in and say what you're doing matters.
Okay.
And then following that ceremony, the 500 plus gathered clergy, we individually were smudged with sage again as we made our way to the front lines of the conflict. Ourselves, we are there to protect the water, protect the land, and protect the future of this world and our future generations. Resistance is a sacred act. It's an act of love. They needed our peaceful, prayerful, lawful, nonviolent witness to take this message home. And as we gathered at the bridge, we sang songs from many traditions, many languages.
So here's my last question to you all. For those who were there and those who are connected with the people who are there, do you think this experience made a change in your lives somehow?
Without doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Working with water, again, we are mostly water.
Yes.
And it's a natural for me to work with water. What I've often said from day one when I became a water warrior was, we have lived for tens of thousands of years without fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had to, we could again.
Yes.
But we will never be able to live without clean water.
Right.
All right, well said. Well, I thank you all for your love and your courage and for being messengers. And there were almost
Thank
50
you
people here.
for
I
getting
counted
the
almost
message
50 people here.
That's awesome.
And that's the beginning of something very special, very spectacular. So thank you.
Thank you.
When you see the chimney, the smoke away up there, remember in the future that you're breathing that same air. Take care of the planet.